Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, the 25th of December. My name is Ali Board, and I am broadcasting to you from my studio down here on the south coast of the UK in Dorset. That's Downend Farm Studio. Thank you very much for joining me today. Now, typical of a broadcast, I've been clicking around like mad in the last 3 or 4 minutes because we have got a few tiny little tech issues. Of course we have, because everybody is on the internet today. So I'm flying a little bit blind this morning. So if you are watching live, I can sort of see you. I can't see how many there are of you, but we'll rattle on in the way that we have done throughout 2022. I thought it was going too swimmingly this morning. If you are watching me live via Facebook, then please do join in the chat. I had a whole speech prepared this morning. I was really calm and collected, and then all the tech went in front of me. Just typical. So, what is this broadcast all about? Now, it is fairly difficult to avoid the fact that it is Christmas. Now, some of you will be celebrating that. Some of you will be not celebrating that. Some of you will be surrounded by your families, and some of you will either choose to be on your own or find yourself on your own for whatever reason. So it was my choice today to try to bring this lovely artistic community together that we have evolved during 2022 to be in each other's company, to say hello to each other, to do a little nice, a simple project together, and basically to have a chat. That's all the things. Now, lots of people, my mum included, saying, "Gremlins, please take a day off." You're not wrong, Mum. It's a good job that the microphones weren't live, is all I can say. Now, what I do try to do is I try to give anybody that is in the chat a bit of a shout out. If you're watching this live on Facebook, please do say hello to me. If you're watching it on catch up, just tag me in it. I'll give you some more information in just a second about where you can find all the details about this broadcast, just in case this has popped up on your social media and you're thinking, hang on a minute, why is Ali popping up on the 25th of December? Now, I have some good mornings to say. Barbara, good morning. And she's saying happy Christmas wherever you are across the world. My mum is saying hello, wishing you all a peaceful and crafty day. That's great. Val, good morning to, yes, not quite a white Christmas down here in Dorset, is it? Is a little bit of a rainy one this morning. Joe, good morning to you. Kathy, good morning to you too. Lindsay, good morning. Everyone wishing each other a happy Christmas. Fran, Maureen, Sandy is saying greetings from Norfolk. Dee, good morning, my lovely. Happy Christmas to you too. Susie, I know that you have found yourself home alone today, so thank you very much for tuning in. Hazel, who is all the way over in Italy, is saying hopefully her broadband will hold out. Hopefully mine will too. Let's cross our fingers, shall we? Sharon is saying Christmas Day is almost over here in Australia. Yes, we have got family over in New Zealand as well, and I know that their Christmas is almost done. Jean, good morning to you. Andrea, good morning. And Lauren there in South Africa is saying good morning too. Linda, good morning. Linda is saying thanks, Ali, for doing this again. Really appreciate it. It is my absolute honour and my pleasure. And Caroline is saying good morning too. So get those hellos, good mornings, Merry Christmases, peaceful greetings, however it is that you want to chat to each other. Now, that is not the only way that you can chat to each other today, because I've set something else up for you. Let me take you over to my website so that you can see all the details about this broadcast, where you can find the materials list. And if you wanted to watch this again to have another go at the project, that is where you'll be able to go and find the footage, which I am hopefully, fingers crossed, recording right now. So you need to pop over to my website, which is www.learningtopaint.co.uk. Now, your page might look a little bit different to this one when you have a look at it, because you might be looking at it on a phone or a tablet, but the URL is still the same, learningtopaint.co.uk. And in the menu, you need to find resources. And there you will see it says Christmas Day broadcast. And if you click or you tap onto that little part, that will give you all the information. Now, I know some of you have seen it already, but this might be news to some of you. And here it is. What will Ali be doing? Ali be doing it in just a second. There is the equipment list. I'm going to go through that in just a second. But if you keep scrolling all the way, look, yes, it's Sunday the 25th. Will I need anything else? All of that kind of stuff. You keep scrolling. That, where it says the recorded broadcast, is where the footage is going to be. You might already be watching it there now. But look, if you keep scrolling all the way to the bottom, you will see I've set up a little chat room for us all to have a chat throughout the day. So if you are feeling that you are not having anybody to speak to, or you just want to avoid speaking to somebody, or maybe you are avoiding social media today, it says there, join the discussion. Now, you do need to create an account. It's really simple. You can sign in with social media, and I promise you it's nothing sinister. You can see that a couple of people have commented there already, and I am going to join in the discussion, and I'm going to put morning everyone. Oh, I'll even learn how to spell, shall I? Morning everyone. And I can comment there, and we can keep in touch with each other throughout the day. So there's a whole page there of things that you can enjoy. I'm just going to scroll backwards to the materials list because I'm going to be talking about that in just a second. Too many things to click this morning. But if you are going to create something and you'd like me to see it, or you've got a question, or you want to chat to each other today on social media, tag me in it at Aliboard Artist, so the at symbol ALIBOARDARTIST, all in lowercase, and at some point during the day I will see it pop up. Now, I can't promise to be commenting all day today, but by this evening I hope to go through and see what you have created. Now, who else has popped up in the room whilst I have been talking all the way through that? Jill says, happy Christmas from a grey Devon. We've just got a couple of little glitches going on here, so I'm going to talk my way through those. And Linda P, good morning, happy Christmas to you too. Rachel is saying, Merry Christmas, lovely people. Merry Christmas to you too. Christine and Andrea. Andrea's saying she managed to take the dogs early. Andrea, I hope you haven't had the weather we've had. My husband got soaked this morning walking the dogs. So without further ado, shall we get going on this project? Let's take you to that overhead camera. We'll see the sort of things that we're going to create. And don't worry, if you haven't got any painting experience, no craft experience, I promise you that it's going to be nice and easy. Now, Hazel is saying, Technophobe here, can you give a link for the chat group? So, Hazel, you go to the website, you go to the Christmas Day broadcast, and that is the group, which I think you've commented on already, my lovely. So just go back over to that page. You don't need a link or anything. It's there for the taking. Merry Christmas to you as well, Tricia. So let's go to this overhead camera. Here's a few ideas that I have for you today for things that you might want to create. So it's a little mindfulness project, really. We're going to use some very simple materials, which I'm going to introduce you to. You could create a greetings card to send to somebody. Maybe that is like a New Year greetings card. Maybe it's just something that you want to send somebody to say that you are thinking of them, because I know a lot of people find this time of year very tough indeed. It might be that it's just something for yourself that you just want to remind yourself that you got through 2022. Maybe write yourself a little note, keep that in a purse or a wallet so that you can take it out and go, do you know what, I created that, and it reminds yourself to keep going throughout 2023. You might also choose to create a little bit of jewellery. You know me and my love of jewellery making you might keep this as a lovely gift for yourself, a little treat. You might give it to somebody else. It might just be, again, something that you create for yourself as a little special gift for today, that every time you wear it, you think, do you know what? I made this and I'm very proud that I made this, and good for you for doing so. I promise you the materials that you need for this project are easier than you think. Now, if you are watching live, I will be commenting on a few of those things that I see pop up in front of me. Lindsay very kindly says on the website, the Christmas broadcast is listed under resources, easy to find the group from there. And actually, if you scroll back, if you're watching me live on Facebook and you scroll back to the top of all the comments, you will see the link for that page right at the top. So lots of places to be able to find it. Now let's have a look at this equipment, shall we? And I tried really hard with this project to make it equipment that you would be able to find around your house. I'm just having a bit of a click around as I do this. So first thing on the equipment list was felt tipped pens. Now you might have, actually this is one of those occasions where actually the cheaper the felt tip pens, the better. You really want the type that say that they're washable, those kind of children's felt tip pens that say they're washable, because you're going to be using a wet brush to blend these together. You can always test them on a scrap of paper first. These are the ones that I'm using. These are the Stabilo ones, but you might just have a cheap set from a supermarket, anything like that. If they're going a bit dry, don't worry, they will still work for this project. Now you need something to paint on. Now it could be watercolour paper, it could be cardstock, or it could be just a surface that's heavy enough to take a little bit of colouring in and a little bit of water too. So it doesn't have to be anything posh. I've got my watercolour paper here, but it could be anything that you could find around the house. It could even be, I was having a discussion with my husband before this broadcast, and he was saying, if you had Christmas cards left over from last year, you could use the card, you know, you could flip the image over and you could create your own detail on the back. You can make it as a gift tag for next year. Who knows? He was coming up with all sorts of ideas. A small brush. Now this could be an artist brush, it could be a makeup brush, or something simple like a cotton bud. Whatever it is, make sure that it is clean. You want it to be clean because you want your colours to look nice and bright. You're going to need a bit of kitchen roll or a bit of toilet roll, just something that you can mop up. A pot of water, that could be a jam jar, something similar to that. You're going to need a pencil. You're probably going to want a ruler. I've got a short one and a long ruler here. And you might want an eraser if, like me, you can't draw a straight line, even with a ruler. A black pen. Now, I've got a fine line sketching pen here. It would be a good idea if it was waterproof. How do you tell if it's waterproof? Sometimes they say, but to be honest, the easiest way to test if it's waterproof is to scribble it on a piece of paper, leave it for 5 minutes or so, and just wet it and see if it runs. It doesn't matter if it's not waterproof. It just makes your drawing safer if it is waterproof, so it's not going to run anywhere. Now I also put, you might want a hairdryer or maybe a heat gun like I've got. Either that, or you could pop them in front of the fire, or just a little bit of patience while things dry. If you've watched any of my broadcasts before, you will know I have zero patience, so I'm going to be using a heat gun. You're probably going to want a pair of scissors. Again, they don't need to be posh scissors. These are my incredibly posh ones. I always think these look like a sort of weapon out of Cluedo, but any pair of scissors will do. And if you want to push your project a little bit further, there are some other things that you might want to consider. You might want to consider a glue stick or some PVA glue, something like that. You might want to have a small punch that punches circles, but equally you could have yourself, I've got so much stuff around me, I'm trying to find it all. You might have a stencil, or you might just have something you can draw around and you can cut it out with scissors that way. If you decide to make the jewellery, then you are going to need something to seal this. Now, I have suggested clear nail varnish, but you could also go for a tinted nail varnish, or one that's got glitter in it, or pearlized or something like that. Equally, if you haven't got nail varnish kicking around, but you have got a bit of glue, you could use some glue that dries clear to seal in the surface. And again, maybe you want a few craft items like maybe a blank greetings card, or I've got a chain here, but you could go and whip the chain off a necklace that you don't own anymore. Equally, if you don't have anything as fancy as that, you could just use some ribbon left over from maybe your Christmas wrapping, or if like me you have a great big box of ribbon that's all kind of tangled together, and I had to wind this very neatly so it looked good for my broadcast. Do you need anything else? No, I don't think you do. I think that's all of the information that we need. Who have I missed saying hello to while I've been talking about all of that? Let's just go front on camera again, because I really want to say good morning to as many of you as I possibly can. Or good evening, because I know some of you are in Australia. Gwenda, good morning. Yes, Wi-Fi, I think internet, generally speaking, I think the whole world is on the internet. It's always a dodgy thing to try to be on it on the 25th of December, isn't it? Who else have we got? My mum is saying that she's been out with the dogs, and Dee, our lovely admin on the Learning to Paint page, has very kindly reposted that link so that you can find the resources page again. Now keep those comments coming in throughout this broadcast, just because it's nice to say hello to you. And don't worry about chatting to me, chat to each other. That's what today is all about. It's about bringing together this creative community and making sure that nobody feels left out today. So let's get cracking, shall we, on this project. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is to create a few little bits of texture with colour. So in true Blue Peter fashion, here are some I created earlier. Good morning, Carrie. Or Carol. Sorry if I got your name wrong there. We're going to want to create a few little blocks to colour in, and we're going to want to create some nice random patterns for us to cut out too. So decide on the size that you want a rectangle to be. I already have sort of decided what it is that I'm going to do with mine. I'm going to reveal that later on. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw myself a couple of boxes. So let's go for one there. Let's go over here. 1, 2, 3. 3.9. You can make the decision about what it is that you want to do. I'm going to do mine really speedily. You can take much more time and care and effort over yours today. So let's just create a couple of rectangles there. Oh, I can't even join the dots. Look at that. Let's come over here to this one. And then the last one here. I'm not entirely convinced that they're straight, but you know what? For today, they'll be absolutely fine. Let's spin it round to centimetres, and let's draw the bottom part of each of our rectangles. Like I said, you can take much more care and effort over yours. I know you will. And if you're very pleased with your outcome when you've done it today, don't forget to tag me in it. I would love to see what you've all been creating. Clearly, I can't count on that one. Oh dear. That one's right, this one's wrong. So yes, go over to social media and tag me in by putting the @ symbol from your keyboard and Ali Board Artist, and then I will see it pop up, because it would be nice to see what we all create, wouldn't it? So I've got a couple of rectangles there, and I'm going to use this space over here to create some random patterns. Now, how am I going to do this? I am going to create some nice kind of wishy-washy, slightly watercolory looking shapes. And I'm going to do that with a washable felt tip pen, a brush and a pot of water, which I'm going to bring over here. Let's pop that to one side. I've got a bit of kitchen roll as well. I call this my security blanket, just in case something goes awry. So shockingly, I'm going to start with a purple colour, and I'm going to do a little bit of colouring in with it. So you don't need any massive amounts of creative skill to do this. And this is more a sort of mindfulness project. It's so that you can have a few little bits and pieces of equipment by the radio or in front of the television, however you like to spend your day today. It doesn't take a lot of brain power, and it doesn't require huge amounts of space. You could put all of this on a tray if you wanted to. Then I'm going to take my wet brush and I'm going to smudge this colour. You will find, because those felt tip pens are washable, they're designed to move when anything wet comes into contact with them. So you can turn them into watercolour paint really easily. Now, I know that out there are some stellar watercolourists in the room today, so maybe use your watercolours instead. I just fancied using felt tip pens because they were nice and easy to find, and I fancied doing things in bright colours today. I thought if you're feeling a little bit low today, it might just cheer you up. So I am using a touch of water in there to get this blended across. It's not going to be super perfect. We don't want it to be, actually. This is just a quick project. We're not going to spend hours on this. I've got a few lines showing. That's all part of it. So I've got a pinky one there. What else should we go for? Should we go for a turquoisey kind of colour? Why not? I'm in that kind of mood today. Let's create a second one over here. So we'll get a bit of this colour in. I tell you what we could do on this one. We could be really daring on this one. We could have a bit of turquoise. And we could go for a darker green as well. We could get one colour blending into the other, couldn't we? So we'll get that one going on down here. Again, very messy and untidy, but when we take our wet brush to it, hopefully, oh, a bit wetter than that, hopefully we can get one colour to fuzz into the other one. There it goes. So we can get tones. Who'd have thought on the 25th of December we could start talking with our fancy art language. So we've got a nice dark tone going into a kind of mid-tone, and now I'm using the water to get it paler. And these colours coming out of these felt tip pens are just deliciously bright. They're going to really cheer yourself up, or whoever you decide to send it to. So we'll get that in as well. Now that needs to dry. So while that's drying over there, I'm going to create some other bits and pieces going on over on this side. Let's use some different colours. So let's just randomly scribble a bit of yellow on there. Very liberating when you do stuff like this. A bit of orange. Let's get that going on. Let's move my pot of water out the way so I can scribble a bit more. Let's go for a red, all colours that I wouldn't usually use, but it's quite nice, isn't it, to just kind of break the habit of a lifetime. Let's not break the habit of a lifetime. Let's go back to some sort of magenta-y colour, and then let's take the brush and we can use our damp brush to smudge these together. You'll find they blend together really beautifully. If you find that your colours aren't blending together as you would like, maybe change your surface. Maybe it's just that your surface isn't going to work so well. Test a few things out. Don't worry if it doesn't work on the first go. That's all part and parcel of the experiment today. So we'll get that going on. Oh, excuse me. So we've got some nice colours in there. Now I don't really want to use my felt tip pens back into this. Does it tap? No, it doesn't tap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little separate palette down here of colour. So I'm going to take my brush, pick up some of that colour, and then I'm going to tap it over the top so that I get a nice spatter. I get some kind of textures going on. And this is terribly addictive to do. So let's give it another colour. Are you all out there still? I haven't actually been looking at the comments, so I hope you all are out there. Let's tap a little bit of this in, sort of like a kind of pale, heathery kind of colour. And then let's go for something a little bit more bonkers. Let's go for green. Ooh, that is a green, isn't it? That's a very rich, delicious, lovely green. Carol is saying, just popping on to say good morning and happy Christmas. We'll watch back later. Hope everyone has a lovely day. That's very kind. Thank you, Carol. To you all too. And yeah, just let me know if you are still all out there, because the technology isn't showing what I would normally be able to see. So I've got some nice textures going on here. Now you can use your kitchen roll to blot those up to make them paler if you wanted to. You could use a spray bottle to kind of interfere with them. You can play with it as much as you like. You can see over here when I was preparing for today's demonstration, I used a lot more variation in the colour. So have a play with it. See what you can do with it. And now what I need to do is I just need to give this a dry. Good morning, Geraldine. I just need to give this a dry. So just bear with me a second while I do that. So I'm keeping the heat, let's just turn that down a little bit. I'm keeping the heat moving across the surface. I'm going to dry this one as well. You want them to be really quite dry. Let's come over here. Right, I think I can see what the tech problem is. Let's just see if I can rectify that. Oh, is it nearly dry? Yeah, it's nearly dry. There we go. Getting there now. Good morning, Natalie. So, we're going to pretend today that that is as dry as I would like it to be. Otherwise, you're just going to watch me drying stuff. Now we're going to, this is a sheet of watercolour paper, as I said, so I'm going to tear it out so that I can do other things to it, but you do whatever works for you. So you can choose now whether you start to make decorations with it on the piece of paper, or whether you cut some of these things out. I'm going to cut them out just because it's going to make my life a whole heap easier. Let's put the cover back on that and turn it over so I've got a drawing board to work on. And let's get the old scissors out. Now, if you wanted to be more accurate with this, you might choose to use a scalpel instead. That's fine. Again, I just wanted the fastest route for myself today. And let's just kind of lock the corner of this off. I will keep all those extra bits of watercolour paper because I could use that for repeating the exercise or for testing colours out on, any of that kind of stuff. And now what I've got is a really interesting patch of colour. I'm going to bring this one in as well that I've already done, so because this one is super dry. And I'm going to start cutting these out. So I'm going to try and cut these out quite carefully, which is easier said than done with a pair of scissors and trying to keep the chat going at the same time. And this gives you the opportunity, if you are watching live on Facebook, to say hello to each other. I can see that Hazel has already asked a question, to wish each other a very happy Christmas. And if you're watching on catch up, you might be on the Learning to Paint website, then don't forget to scroll all the way to the bottom of that page and you'll find that lovely little chat window where you can talk to each other or you can talk to me, whichever works best for you. So let's get the last bits of these snipped away. Like I said, you don't have to, you could decorate them, you could do all sorts of other things to them on that large sheet. I'm just choosing to do it like this. So let's get that one snipped away, and let's get this one snipped away. Then I've got two nice little surfaces to work on. Now let's think about, let's pop that to one side for a second. Let's take these, for example, how you could decorate these, how you could do a little doodle or something to brighten these up. Now I've got some already done here. And for this, I made it very easy for myself. This was just done through a stencil. Now you may have craft stencils. I've got quite a nice stash of craft stencils for all the other kind of bits and pieces of work that I do. So you could choose a stencil. Let's have a look through and choose a pattern. What do we feel? Do you know what? Let's make life super easy for ourselves today. Oh, it's so tempting because there's some really interesting... oh, here we go. Stars. Who doesn't love a star? We'll use that. And then for this one, I'm actually just going to use a template. Now, you could use a coin for this. You could draw around something, however it works for you. And I'm going to make life really easy for myself. I'm going to use my stencil and my black sketching pen to draw my pattern back through onto my card. Now I can play about with this for hours, trying to get it in the right place. And I'm going to draw my way through. Now this is why I was saying that you might want to have a waterproof sketching pen. If you have got a waterproof sketching pen, then the chances are it's not going to smudge quite so easily, that you might get a bit of water on it and it won't necessarily run. But like I said, it's not the end of the world. If all you've got left is a ordinary black felt tip pen, then use that. It will be fine. You just need to be a little bit more careful with it. So I'm going to use my stencil. You could get creative with finding things to draw through, or even maybe you want to draw your own pattern. Maybe you've had an idea for a repeating pattern and you're thinking, ooh, that's a good opportunity. I promise you, it doesn't matter how simple it is, because the end result is going to look fabulous. So we'll do a little bit more. I'm not going to do all of these. I'm going to try to make it look like these stars are sort of falling down the piece of paper. So, oh, that's a tiny little one. Let's get this last one in. Maybe we'll do one more down here. Like I said, you can spend a lot longer on your project. There, that looks really cool, doesn't it? Liking that. Now I'm going to just colour these in. So this is the sort of the easiest version of it. Don't have to think too hard. Like I said, you might be listening to a piece of music. You might prefer the delicious quiet that you'll be getting today, and you can sit there colouring in. Maybe you've got a pet sat at your feet. Maybe you've been out for a walk and you just want something that you can sit and doodle with without having to overthink. I think this is the perfect project for that type of mindfulness. So we'll get this one coloured in. You will do a much better job of it than I have. You would never think that this is what I do for a living. Let's get this last one in. Oh, that really is a horrible bit of colouring in. It looks okay on the camera, so we've got away with it. And then let's get these last few in. Coming down to the bottom. Getting this last little bit in. Ooh, coloured in. Getting in, that kind of thing. And I can see a couple of you are chatting to each other. Some of you saying that you have already partaken of a few too many chocolates. I think if you're going to get away with it today is the prime example of doing it. And I can see that my mum is commenting on my choice of jewellery today. I thought you would like that, Mum. A little bit of family heirloom going on. So let's get those coloured in. There we go. That doesn't look too shabby. I'm quite pleased with that, actually. The colouring in leaves a lot to be desired. But actually, what that teaches me is that I need to practice my colouring in a bit more. So we've got that one done. Oh, bless Rachel. Rachel is horribly biased, and she is saying everything you do is beautiful. You are massively biased, my lovely, but thank you. And Jane is saying happy Christmas to all. Happy Christmas to you too, Jane. Right, let's show you how you can create your own doodle if you want to. I'm going to make this nice and simple today. So I'm going to draw myself a circle. This is exactly, what have I done with it? Put it down somewhere. What have I done with it? Here it is. This is exactly the way that I created this one. So one of the easiest patterns that you can do to create your own little, some people call this Zen-tangling. Now, Mick is just making a comment. Mick is saying, was hoping to follow as you were working, but unfortunately I'm on my third glass of wine. That's not unfortunate at all, Mick. So don't think I would be able to see what I'm doing. Merry Christmas to one and all. Oh, bless your heart, Mick. A project for another day. It's just lovely that you're here. Thank you very much for joining me. So this style of doodling is sometimes called Zen-tangling. Sometimes it's just called doodling. Sometimes it's just called plain old colouring in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create patterns within my circle. So I'm going to have some wavy lines going on. Maybe they go narrow and then they go broad. Maybe they go broad and then they go narrow. But that kind of thing. So nice, easy lines. And then across, I'm going to do some arcing shapes going one way. Let's do that. Trying not to get my head in shot as well. Then let's turn it a little bit and do some arcing shapes going the other way. Let's maybe get them to fall in between those things. Then we'll go back this way again, going up and over. There we go. So nice and, you know, again, not terribly complicated. Don't overthink it. This is not about some of the things that we think about in art in terms of, oh, where's my perspective and where's my light source coming from and all of that kind of stuff. That is not what this project is about. This project is about a little bit of escapism, taking your mind off things that you maybe don't want to think about today, and being nice and chilled and part of a creative community. So all I'm doing is colouring in every other one. Every other one. It's not tricky. I mean, it's tricky if, like Mick, you're on your third glass of wine. I'll give you that. And someone else is saying they've already started hitting the Prosecco, or that they're planning on hitting. Hazel is planning on hitting the Prosecco after the dog walk. I mean, take the Prosecco with you. I don't see an issue with that at all. I've got a couple of friends that on today they go down to the beach and they take mince pie and a bit of mulled wine. What's not to like about that? So we're going to carry on with our colouring every other one in, which is cool. Let's go, where are we? I've got this one going in now. How are we doing for time as well? Not too shabby at all. I didn't want to take up too much of your time today. Wanted to spend a little bit of time with you, but you've got dogs to walk and possibly things to cook or people to ring, or if you're in Australia, beds to go to. So I don't want to take up too much of your time today. There we go. So all I've done is I've created squiggly lines. I drew a circle so you could draw around a coin, and then I've just done some flowing lines and coloured in between. So, who has just popped up? Nuala, good morning. Merry Christmas from the west of Ireland. Sorry I can't say to watch. Don't apologise. Go. You can always watch this on catch-up. Not a problem at all. Lovely Moo as well. Very lovely to see you here. And Mick is asking how many stencils I'm using because he can see at least 6. There's no helping you, Mick. So what else could I do around that? Let's have a look at some of my other stencils. And I know what I could do. Somewhere, I mean, this is me all along. Somewhere I've got a dotty stencil. There it is. So we could have like a sort of bubble effect going on, couldn't we? Let's get to that bit. And we'll do this last bit nice and quickly. Let's combine some things. Let's do one up there, one down here, little diddy one there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know I have to have things in odd numbers. 5. There we go. That's fine. It doesn't matter. And to be honest, you could make hundreds of these. You could have all your birthday cards made for the coming year by the end of today. Let's do a little bit of colouring in. Geraldine, good morning. Lovely to have you here. And I'm saying good morning just in case you've just tuned in or you've kind of forwarded through to the demo part of this broadcast, just in case you're wondering who on earth it is that I'm saying good morning to. We've got some lovely people who joined live at 10 a.m. On Facebook. So you might be watching this on YouTube, you might be watching it via my website. But we've got people popping up all over. So there we have just a nice, relatively simple way of getting some illustration down onto our coloured little rectangles that we made. Now, before we can do anything else, we need I'm going to punch a couple of circles out of this. Actually, I'll do it out of this one. I'm just going to give this an extra dry. Give me 2 seconds. We'll give some of this pen work a dry off as well. There we go. There we go. We're going to dry the back as well. And all these little bits of paper that I've cut off, this is watercolour paper, but you might be using cardstock. Don't throw those away. You could use all sorts of these. Look, those two match. You could colour those in and make that into a pendant. So, I mean, this is why my studio is full of stuff, because I keep everything. So I've dried that. Now you can cut this out with scissors or you can use a punch, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to have to cut the edge off of that if I can find my scissors, because my punch won't quite reach through the middle of it. Let's just take the edge off of that, and let's punch one hole there. Woohoo! It's alive. And then we'll punch another hole there. So we've got the start of our necklace. Don't forget, this is kind of endless. So there's no reason at all why you couldn't actually collage some of this back onto your rectangles if you wanted to as well. Just putting that out there. But what I am going to do is I'm actually going to glue these two things together to make a pendant. Now, one of the reasons I use a punch instead of cutting them out is because a punch will do a much better job than my cutting skills. Let's use, you could use a glue stick for this, a Pritt stick. Let's squeeze a little bit of glue out onto here. This is a fast drying PVA glue, but like I said, a glue stick, a Pritt stick, Yoo-hoo stick, anything like that will be absolutely fine. So let's smooth it to the edges and let's stick one on top of the other like that. Now, you can leave it like that and create your piece of jewellery from there if you wanted to. I like to go a little bit the extra mile on mine. So one thing I'm going to do, can you see when you cut it out, you have like a white edge to it? I'm actually going to take my felt tip pen and I'm going to colour that white edge in. It's just a little, for those of you that really like to have a well-finished craft project, then this is a handy hint for you, really. Sometimes these tiny little ways of completing a piece just make the difference. Now, I am going to do the here's one I made earlier type of thing because I want to show you the nail varnish technique. Now, I did tint the edge of this. But to if you were giving this as a gift, or even if you were wearing it yourself, don't forget that we've used materials on here that are designed to move when they're wet. So you don't want them transferring onto your body. or you don't want them running if you wear your jewellery out in the rain. So you can use a bit of PVA, or you could use a clear nail varnish, or like this nail varnish, for example. This is also a brilliant way of using up all those nail varnishes that you never use. This is a clear nail varnish that's got a sort of shimmer to it. And you'll see when I paint it on, it gives like a sort of pearlescent finish. But you could mix something in with your PVA glue. You could use a varnish that you find around your house. I just thought nail varnish was a nice, easy way of sealing in what I had already done. So there you can see I've got a bit of a shimmer, a bit of a shine going on it now, and that will dry really beautifully. And then over here, of course, I have one that I had already prepared because I'm organised like that. And what I'm going to do to this one, I've got something here called a jump ring. Now you could punch another hole, you could thread your ribbon straight through it, however you want to do it. I'm just going to attach this ring so that it hangs from my pendant, from my chain. If you're looking them up to purchase them, they are called jump rings, J-U-M-P. Now, I'm going to need to punch a hole. Now, normally I would use my awl that I use for picture framing to do a job like this, but actually that makes the hole a little bit too big. And we don't want anything too giant. We just need the jump ring to pass through it. So I've made a little hole there, and I've got a piece of wire. This is the piece of wire that I use to unclog my pencil sharpener, and I use to pierce my tubes of paint, all of that kind of stuff. And what I will do is I'll pass that through, look, and make that hole what my husband would call burring that hole over so that it finishes it really nicely. And then I can take my little jump ring and I can pass it through that hole, join it back up. These are quite big jump rings. I don't like the tiny ones. They're way too fiddly. And I can join it back up again. Let's find myself a bit of ribbon, which just happens to be in the same colour palette as what I have painted, and then I can pass that through. That looks like a piece of jewellery that you have spent a great deal of money on, and actually you can go, oh well, this is something I created myself, and you can look very clever indeed. So if you create a piece of jewellery that is, or if you've got a little bit of texture left over, or you've got something that didn't work and you're thinking, oh, what am I going to do with it now? You could cut some circles or squares out of it and you can turn it into a rather fabulous piece of jewellery. Let's just tie a little knot in that so that it doesn't fall off. I think that would make a super gift for somebody. How thrilled would you be if you got that? Equally, give it to yourself, gift it to yourself, and every time you wear it, you'll remember what you did and where you were when you created it. Now, Pete, I've missed a whole load of comments. Carol is saying greetings, lots of people chatting to each other, which is awesome. Lindsay is saying, I love glossy accents to seal my watercolours. Yes, that is a craft product. Again, have a Google of that. Some really interesting effects can be made with glossy accents. Linda is saying you can use your leftover nail varnish for marbling. It's great fun. That's genius. And Kathy is saying that it would be great for friends. It could be a little New Year gift, couldn't it? It could be maybe you don't struggle with Christmas Day, but maybe you know somebody who does, and you can make them something, send it to them and say, do you know what? I was thinking of you on Christmas Day and this is what I made for you. Now, just to finish with, just before you all disappear, I thought I would share with you what I'm going to do with these. Now, you could make them into greetings cards, couldn't you? You could mount them on the front of a piece of folded card and they would be good to go. You could equally punch a hole in the corner of it and make them into a gift tag. But you know me, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to go with this one because I really like this one. And just now and again, I have to, you guys are brilliant because you're so supportive and you always say lovely things to me. And sometimes I have to have something that reminds me that the job I do or the situation that I find myself in, to give me a little bit of confidence, to say to myself, you've got this, don't worry about this. So I thought I would turn this little illustration that I've done onto a playing card. And I thought I would use the Ace of Hearts for it, just to remind myself that whenever I do a broadcast or whenever I teach, I need to be ace. So let's stick this down. This is a vintage playing card. I try to, around charity shops or auctions of ephemera, of things that I go to on a regular basis. I try to look out for playing cards that have got certain cards missing. Nobody wants them anymore. We can't play a card game with them, but they're great for craft projects. So I'm going to put a little bit of my Fast Tack PVA on this. Maybe you want to create a gift for somebody to remind them that you think they're ace as well. So I'm going to take this and the great thing about using PVA glue is you can slide it around till it's in the right place. Let's make sure that that is stuck down correctly. And what you could sign it, you could write somebody a little poem all the way around it. The possibilities are endless. Don't forget you can use picture cards as well. I measured it so that it would fit over that picture card. So you could kind of make your own version of greetings cards. Sometimes people do them for artist trading cards as well. The All Aboard artists have done a card swap this year where we've been sending each other little miniature artworks. And I think this is a brilliant idea for something that you could send somebody. Maybe you bank it ready for next year. So there's the idea for your Christmas Day project. A little bit of colouring in, a little bit of doodling to make sure that you create a pattern. Use anything that you find around your house. Get inventive. Think a little bit laterally, and you should while away a good couple of hours creating projects that are going to keep your mind off whatever it is that you're trying to get away from today. Or maybe it's just that you want a quiet 5 minutes to yourself at the end of today or in the next few days. Maybe you don't do New Year's. Maybe you want to keep your animals safe indoors where all the fireworks go off. But I think this is a nice simple project using really, really simple materials that you should be able to find around your house, and you can keep them all for yourself. You have my absolute permission to make yourself something today. Now, I have lots of thank yous. I want to thank everybody out there for taking the time to tune in. If you've been watching live and you've been in the chat and commenting and talking to each other, that's just brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted, to bring my lovely artistic community together, to make sure that we're all okay, to kind of put our hands up if we need a little bit of help. And this morning has been brilliant. I have just loved every minute of it. I also want to say an enormous thank you to the SAA who have helped me promote this today. It started a couple of years ago in lockdown, and it's kind of grown and grown and grown, and it's an absolute privilege and an honour to be chatting to you on a day like today. So I want to thank the SAA team, particularly the marketing team, for helping me to promote it as well. I also want to thank my family for putting up with the fact that I've been really nervous this morning and putting this broadcast together. I want to thank my husband Bees and all my family for kind of giving me the time and the space and the quiet to be able to do this. We've got some comments coming in. Linda P is saying thanks for being there this morning, enjoy the rest of the day. I most certainly will. Linda, thank you very much. Andrea is saying I can't get all my art stuff because I've pulled the single bed into a double for the friends' children coming to stop over on Wednesday, taking them to Panto. But the ideas are there, Andrea. That's all that matters. Lauren, you are very, very welcome. Susie saying just what I needed this morning. I hope that it has cheered you up. Lots of people wishing each other a happy Christmas. Lots lots of people saying thank you to each other, asking to each other to enjoy their day. John, it is my absolute pleasure. Now, as I sign off today, I just wanted to say, wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a very, very peaceful end to 2022. I am sending huge amounts of love out there to anybody that needs it today. Take it from me. I hope that we meet up again in 2023. I hope that you enjoy however it is you spend the next couple of weeks. I disappear for a little bit now. I'm taking some time out with my family and for myself. Lots of thank yous and everything coming in. I will certainly, Lindsay, be back in 2023. Thank you ever so much for all your good wishes. Take care, all of you, won't you? Sending lots of love.